riots, I mean, the word riots, it has a lot of different connotations and meaning to different people. And it's, I'd say, normally associated with something negative, to be honest. In the eyes of the mainstream, the media and governments and things, to them, I guess a riot is something negative or something destructive or something. I guess I'll refer to the things that happened last year as riots possibly, because it's an easy term to use. But I don't necessarily mean something negative when I say riots, when I talk about the riots or the uprisings, as we could call it, or because for me, the riots were more than anything like a statement. They were a message. They were saying something to us in society, to the people that run society, to the powers that exist within society, to the divisions, to everybody, to society. They were a message to society. They're telling us something, more than anything, something that we should listen to.
Where did it happen? Who did it? And why didn't it happen in other places? And start from there, like, you know. And I think that gives you really the social, whatever you want to call it, reasons for why it happened, where it happened.
The word that was really bandied about everywhere was mindless. Mindless. No human being is mindless. We all have a mind, we all have a brain. No one does things for absolutely no reason. And everything is political. Absolutely everything.
It's because he killed that boy, he killed that Mark geezer in Tottenham, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's alright for a cop to take a life. Like, they took his life and they didn't even want to go to his family. They locked themselves in the police station and shot it, and they can't even tell the family. But when when someone on the streets kills a police officer, it's all over the news. They make sure everyone knows about it, you know what I mean? And they make out like it's a big thing. And like, when they took his life, they made it look like nothing. So really, they deserve everything. They make people go through so much pain, like, really.
I'd heard that they were sparked off because of the untimely death of Mark Duggan. I mean, some describe it as an execution that occurred some days before, and that there was a peaceful protest that had, I guess, accumulated to a riot.
The Duggan story. That was blacked out by the BBC. A whitewash. It needs to be told again and again and again and again and again.
There had been a lot of misinformation, as there always is when somebody dies, either in police custody or in some way that involves the police. The IPCC have this habit of putting out information which over time becomes proven to be false.
The tests we commissioned from the Forensic Science Service have so far confirmed that the bullet lodged in the MPS radio is a jacketed round. This is a police issue bullet.
The press and the IPCC and the police decided to conspire to present a scenario that suggested that Mark had fired first at a police officer, and the whole community instantaneously knew in Tottenham that that wasn't true, and that they were trying to justify what was in the eyes of many in the community as a summary execution of Mark Duggan on the streets of the capital. That then led to a rising in tension and anger. But you've got to give credit to the people of Tottenham, because even at that stage they didn't go out onto the street. They demanded, and the family demanded, that somebody come and speak to them about what happened. So they demonstrated restraint.
So many things that you say are the same things that happened in the Lawrence case that probably you know. The police didn't try hard enough right from the word go. Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence, within 5 days of the murder, realised the police were not trying hard enough to find the killers. And they knew why. They reckoned it was because the family were black, it's obvious.
I went round the back streets and I happened to see a group of people people coming towards me with placards, and they were mainly women and young people, but mainly women.
What happened there was that, as I understand it from Stafford, you know, that the families decided, and the people who were veterans who'd been through a lot of these things before, decided that as a sort of attempt to actually prevent the emergence of the kind of conflict that happened later on, that the women of that family and their supporters were going to be very prominent, very visible, and would be the front line of that representation, and that was done in a tactical way precisely to try and avoid what subsequently came next, which is you know, questions of dignity, questions of humiliation.
On August 6th, on a Tottenham side road, I bumped into his wife to be Simone, and I asked, "Man, what's happening here?" She told me they killed him. The street's patience is waning. 5 days later and still no explaining. She hung limp, boneless with mourning. In the arms of loved ones she took refuge. She's a cloned woman, withering for the father of her children. He's not here to defend himself. Is that a summary execution? A lynching? Still we wait.
This is what I understand to be the chronology. I can't claim it to be fact. From my understanding of the various people I've talked to on the ground, this is what I understand happened. A few days the police haven't come and spoken to the family. They assemble outside the police station peacefully for hours and not spoken to. And at some point in the fracas that's gone on, a young girl has been assaulted.
It was bang out of order. It was just bang out of order. Like, you heard the woman screaming on the videotape. She's a girl. You can see them, like 8, 9 of them on her. Do you know what I mean?
It's a fucking girl! It's a girl! Look how he's dealing with her!
On the day this was all going on, there was footage on YouTube of a young girl clearly being beaten up, and people saying it's a girl, get off her, get off her, and the police kicking and beating a girl on a back street in Tottenham. That I did see from my own eyes.
It's a fucking girl! It's a fucking girl! It's a fucking girl!
When it comes to violence, in words, in treatment, and in physically brutalising someone, the police here are just as misogynist as anywhere. They will strip search you, they will call you things, they will say things about your body. They will physically harm you in places that are sensitive for a woman. You know, they will do that. It happens all the time, you know.
If you look at the history of some of the big rebellions in this country throughout the 80s, Brooks, the last one in Tottenham, 85, what happened, you know? Cynthia Jarrett died while in police custody, or someone would say killed in police custody. You know, that was someone's grandma. You know? How do you think people are going to react? Now, young men die in police custody, regular. I'm not saying none of the rebellions have been reaction to young men, they have been. But there's something more insidious about being someone's grandma. Brixton, what was it? Sherry Gross got shot in the back, right? A woman.
People who lived in that community and lived through the riots before, riots of course that were made legitimate in previous occasions because women died actually as the context of the trigger event, and that's actually been something that the image of the woman's body as the sort of straw that breaks the camel's back in the larger context of a history of suffering that provides the immediate or the final trigger for the eruption of that disorder. That's a script that we know very well because it was there in Tottenham in 86, it was there in Birmingham in 86.
In this case, we know a young girl was beaten by the police, and I know for all the sexism in a lot of young boys, I know how I would have reacted if that was my female friend when I was 15 or 16.
There were quite a lot of people kind of facing the police.
Lots of people in the street, a lot of confusion, the police lined up, not really doing anything.
And then I think the police started moving in and people moved out and people burnt a car and then like a police car that was just there.
There was like a bus on fire quite in a lot of places.
There was a fire engine that was going to go to put out that fire but the police weren't letting the fire engine go through.
There is a sense in which the flames, the simple, I think it was Stafford or somebody like that, said, you know, if they'd actually put the fire out, then this sort of dreamscape of fire wouldn't have kind of fed this imaginative possibility in the way that it did, you know. And I don't think that's a trivial point at all, actually.
Riots don't happen in a void. They have reasons and they have a trigger, and then they catch, and it's like, you know, it's like a fire. It starts, it sparkles, and then it just blows, you know.
People say, yeah, there was no humanity in the riots, there was no this and there was no that, it was all evil people out robbing, stealing, whatever. But that's utter nonsense, because I saw a lot of humanity within Tottenham alone in the riots, when people were trying to stop things burning that threatened people's houses, when people were united against the police force who were trying to defend this police station. When people set fire to the police cars initially, it was because the police and the government gave them no response to the murder of somebody in their community. And murders by police have been going on for tens of years without any response to communities, you know? And the fact their response to that was they'd attack a young girl in the street outside the Tottenham police station. And for me, there was humanity in that, and there was love in the response to the people when they burnt the police car.
That day where that thing happened with that boy, everyone said, you know what? Whatever postcode's got a problem with another postcode, or whatever area's got a problem with another area, like, squash it. Basically, everyone's just gonna stick together and help each other. So everyone was just helping each other out that day, innit? Because that's what was going around, like broadcasting on TV, Facebook, whatever.
There was a unity within the uprisings last year within this country. A unity that went beyond any notions of class, any notions of race, any notions of gender to an extent, any notions of a lot of things within those few days.
I got messages saying that whatever ends, like, for example, they were saying, like, if you're red, like some postcodes they do colour, red colour, blue colour, red, green, whatever. They were saying whatever you are, we all stick together, like, fuck the war, basically. You know what I mean? We got to do this for someone that's just got killed for no reason, you know what I mean? Like, police have basically got to get hurt for what they've done, innit? So everyone stuck together and helped each other out that day.
Seeing how people were able to come together across different class lines, across different racial lines, whatever imagined boundaries they had amongst each other, similar to the United States. I mean, we are a very big country. If 110 riots broke out across the nation, that's 3,000 miles, square miles, there had to be a common understanding of what people were fighting for.
So we all just stuck together, whatever ends we was helping each other out. People were getting hurt, other boys were helping other boys get off the road, like, if they were laying on the floor hurt, whatever, you know what I mean? Everyone's helping each other out. If they were getting attacked by police, a random boy will come up and help the other boy to get away from the police, you know what I mean?
Criminals in uniform are walking everywhere. Criminals in uniform, but no one seems to care. Nottingham to Birmingham, the riots' fires flared. London to Manchester, the world saw and shared. Tottenham to Brixton, people aimed anger at the cops. Ealing to Hackney, people stole from corporation shops. Rest in power, Mark Duggan, you will never be forgot. Murdered in cold blood, for your justice will never stop. Mark was a family man, I can't imagine his family's loss. Trying to unite the gangs, and for that he paid a priceless cost. Cause police and politicians are just working for a richer boss, and they don't want to see unity in our communities, they'd rather see us rot.